Welcome back, YouTubers. We are once again at the mess hall at Dr. Jet Laboratories. It's still cold out in the stink bug works. And welcome to part 2 of a multi-part episode of building the MHZ Miss Exide Hydro with Dr. Jet. Today, we talked about planning the last time out. Today, we're measuring and marking. And if you will notice, I've established a center line here in my hull, and I've also established an offset drive line. And I've taken that drawing and I've established it here on the transom as well. And you can see where I've marked out the center of the drive and where my strut will go and allow room for vertical adjustment. This strut doesn't have a whole lot of vertical adjustment, but I'm sure you could go in here and file that slot if you needed to. I'm going to set it up so that with the trailing edge of the sponsons on the water, that this last little bit of the control plate here will be level. So that brings the transom, about half an inch off the deck here. I'll give you a more precise measurement as we go along. And you can see where I've also marked for the rudder. I'm not going to drill anything just yet because that may change. That may change, but right now I'm looking at the rudder right here. So there you go. The next step is, once your planning is done, establish a center line, establish your offset. This will also aid you in figuring out where you want to cut out in here to get your motor through there. My suggestion is let me do it first, see how much needs to be cut out, and then we'll go from there. Another thing I did discover is I can get batteries up into the sponson. It's going to be difficult to get them in and out, but it can be done. I'd want some sort of padding in there to keep them from banging around, so I'll have to come up with some idea. So if I have to get the batteries up here in the sponsons, I can. I'm still looking at getting them pretty much right on the CG with the motor forward, and that may get me close to balancing. We shall see. So there you go. The next step, do your planning, then do your mark out. That way you measure several times and drill once. Let's talk about how I'm going to mount these things too. This is my preferred method for any time I have a fiberglass hull. Because the transom oftentimes has a joint in it, it's never really a good flat surface. And if you're using nuts, they just don't fit well and such. So what I've been doing as of late is I'll take a piece of G10. In this case, I've got some stuff that's a 1/16 of an inch thick. I might even go 2 layers of it. But I'll make a plate that has roughly this outside dimension and matching holes that I'll drill and tap. And then I'll drill the holes in the hull slightly oversized so I have some room to adjust how this strut goes on. And what I'll do is I'll put some bolts through here, put it in the transom, and then take this G10 plate with the threaded holes and smear the backside with an epoxy and milled fiberglass mix, and basically screw them together and use that to hold it up while the epoxy sets up. You need to make sure you put some grease on your bolts so it doesn't stick to the epoxy, but that way you get a nice nut plate in there and everything's really solid. So that's how I'll mount the rudder and the strut. So that's about it for this little episode. Be careful on establishing your center lines. Measure several times and make sure you get it right. One nice thing with a fiberglass hull is you can hold it up to the light and you can see the lines through it. So when it comes time to put in the stuffing tube, I don't have the stuffing tube right now, it's on order. When it comes time to put in the stuffing tube, it's real easy to transfer that line, this line, to the outside so you can get your stuffing tube in the right location the first time out. There you go, Wayne. Until next time, jet out.